And we're live. Hello. Well, in case you haven't been here before on these lives, this is the live for the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, book number 6. 6! I cannot hear you, Ashley.
The Vampire
Oh,
Armand.
no. Ah! He was my favorite.
I I really like this one, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I get on for even books and I don't get on for odd books.
So this is Ashley from Ashley's Media Addiction here. Here.
Um,
She's linked down below so you can go check her out. And the Vampire Mind. So shall we do what we do first? That is set the rating.
yeah. What
Three,
so who wants to go first? Me or you?
three, two, one, go.
4
Yay!
stars.
We give it the same! Finally!
I I honestly feel like I get along for even number of books, but I don't get on for odd ones. If you've seen me since the beginning, like of these live shows, every single 1, 3, 5 that we've had has been 3 stars. Every 4 and now 6 has been 4 stars. So I seem to get on with the even numbers and then the odd ones
Yeah,
not as much. But I
yeah,
feel like the odd ones have been very more atmospheric and then the even ones have been more plot driven. So it's a kind of nice way of doing it as well. Because I am as a plot driven reader, I like the fact that I might have a slower book, but then I know the next book is going to be more my style again. So it's kind of keeping me going, which is quite nice.
yeah. I need atmosphere. So the first one was really good for me because it was really atmospheric. I don't mind if it's quick, if it's slow. I have no problem with that. I loved the uh, philosophical discussions, but uh, didn't like when it stayed too long in a character um, reflecting on a certain topic, which didn't really happen here.
Yeah, I think it went quite nice pace. I remember, so anyone who hasn't been to these live shows before, please be aware that there is going to be spoilers in these. But also know that you can actually read them as standalones. They do kind of go back enough and explain things to you that you might not know. So if you don't want to just pick them up, you can quite easily. Um, but yeah, I was very surprised by this one. So like I messaged Anna at like I must have been chapter 5 or something, and was just like, "Have you started this book yet? Because like this is not what I thought we were getting into in this book. Because we can't not speak about it, but there was smut. The vampire Armand was smut.
Heavy, smart. There
I
was
was
a
not expecting.
threesome.
Well, I not gonna lie, I was not expecting that. So I when I picked this up, I wasn't in the mood for it. I had no interest in picking this up at the moment. I was like, I just don't feel it. Was reading the first like chapter, was like, I still don't feel it, and then the smut happened, and I was like, I am involved. just, I'm going to just pick up another chapter. Like, they keep that going. Yeah, there was a lot of smut. I
Yeah.
was not nearly prepared for that. And I'm someone who loves smut in books. I'm not going to lie about it. I really do like smut in my books. But I had no warning. Like, all the other Anne Rice books gave no implication that this was coming. And I think that's what it is. The fact that I was like, wait a minute. We're getting smut? What's happening now? Because, like,
And there
yeah,
are a couple of issues here that I would love to discuss regarding sex in the book. because I found a serious issue uh, that is somehow normalizing um, pedophilia. It is. Marius has a lot of boys, all of them minors,
Yeah.
hmm,
I
because
don't think
Armand
he's,
is the oldest or one of the oldest, and he's 17 when he's turned.
I don't think he's having sex with the younger ones.
But they have like, how do you call it? No, it's not Munchausen. It's, how do you call the, hi Donna. Um how do you call the syndrome of a person that has been kidnapped,
Stockholm
that falls
syndrome.
in love? Sorry?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. So yeah, that's a problem. Um, all of those boys have Stockholm syndrome. They're like boys that were taken by Marius. They're in the house. They are like his slaves, basically. Not, he doesn't mistreat them, but they work for him and they don't get money for it. So that's,
I
I mean, there's child work, basically. It's child
I
exploitation.
I don't think it is that. Like, I get where you're coming from, but I don't think it is that. I think he actually saved them because if you look at like the other boys' stories and things, they're like all being like sold as slaves or they're being sold on like sex markets and stuff.
Yeah.
And like they're very homeless and they have no idea or anything. And he's kind of taking them in and he is schooling them and he is kind of helping them get to where they want to be in life. But he's not actually doing anything that's sexual or he isn't really making them work. He's kind of being like, here's some rough things to do. Try and just make sure you're doing normal chores around the house and things. But I don't feel like he's actually making them work or really do anything that they wouldn't do as normal children, like in a normal house environment. I think he's just like,
Uh,
I want you guys to be more like an actual house family rather than what you could have been. And they're just so appreciative of the fact that they don't have to live that life of being homeless or being part of this like sex trade or being
he
like in brothels and
sleeps.
things. That
He
they're
sleeps
more,
with Armand from the
well,
beginning.
I mean, don't get me
Armand,
wrong,
when
Armand
he's
does.
500 years old, I think.
I think
He's
Armand
five.
does. But I don't think the other boys do at all because they say throughout the book that they're not allowed to sleep in his bed or anything. So I think it's only Armand that does.
Um, I Anyway, Armand is 17 when he's turned, and he had been living with him for some time already. He was sleeping with him from the beginning. Like, since he gets to the house, he's sleeping with Marius. Marius is in love with him. Marius is 500 years old, and anyway, physically, he's an old man.
Yeah,
He's a mature man, and Armand is a child, like a teenager.
but sex is illegal at 16.
I don't think he was 16,
No, but he was 17 at the time, so
but
he was
when he
over.
was turned, but long before, like, I think he was when he was kidnapped, he was like 12.
I don't think so. I don't think he was as young as that. I think it was all meant to be within the same year. I think it's in the same year. I think he was thingy.
I think he was younger, but I'm not
I'm gonna
sure if his age when he was kidnapped is said in the
I'm not
book.
sure. I'm trying to like have a quick look through and see if I can spot it. So if you do see me looking down, I am just looking at my book just to see if I can actually find out the age he was. But I thought he was thingy.
Oh.
I was brought there a slave boy. Um, but he was with his father earlier on as well, innit?
His father was in a trauma. because the boy had been kidnapped. But he was born in 1481 and he was started in 1499, I think.
I'm trying to think what age he was kidnapped at. I don't think it says here.
He's 17 when he's turned. That we know. But
Yeah,
he
we know
was
he was
born in 1981, and I don't know the year of the Tartar.
definitely 17 when he was tired, but I thought it was when he was 16 that he was kind of brought over and things.
And the fact that it's legal anyway doesn't make it morally appropriate, which is what I mean.
Mm. That's very true. But you have to think back then as well, things would have been a lot younger. So if you're thinking back 1800s, like nowadays, not a chance. But back then, it'd probably be more normalized
Yeah,
and
but
be
that
young.
doesn't, I mean, it's not right.
I think.
So you said about, I don't think he's having sex with the younger one, right as my husband was making a food order on the phone.
Whoops. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But Armand was anyway a minor, and this guy was not 20 or 25 at the time of his death. He was a mature man. So
yeah,
yeah, it's like, and he's
I
pushing him to go to the brothels actually
I was gonna say I
and
love
learn
the fact
things
that Armand
so
is
he
no
can
kind
give
of
him pleasure afterwards.
I loved the fact that they literally just went, let's start go to loads of brothels. I'm just like, okay. But I mean he did seem to have fun. So I mean
It was no. I
yeah,
had
that was
issues with that, and the threesome with Bianca, and then them insulting and killing the other people because they were talking about Bianca as a well, she was.
I what did you think of Bianca? Well we've like mentioned Bianca, what did you think of her?
I like her actually. Um, I think she's not stupid, but she plays stupid.
Yeah. I think she was very what's the word? Very clever. Because back then you wouldn't want a woman who was too clever. That would set something off in people. So she played down, but she knew exactly what she was doing. And I
Exactly.
really liked it.
And she likes
I also
danger, but she plays like she's relatively innocent regarding vampires and all those stuff, and she's not.
I I'm also kind of curious because later on in the book we see that Armand thinks he actually sees her again. He's not sure, but he thinks he sees her, and I'm
I
very
think she's
curious.
going to come up later.
I really hope so. The I Do you know what made this not a 5 stars for me? Just on the basis, I know this is a completely different plot point. Well, we can return to the brothels and stuff because that is basically half the book. But one thing I didn't like about this book, so we got to part 2 of the book where it kind of goes on about, well, here's what Lestat said about me. Let's do a quick summary up to where we are now. Fair enough. But do you know what I didn't like? The fact that we got the understanding of him being in a cult and everything, and we see that he is head of the Theatre of the Vampires, which is fine. But we never heard anything about Lestat's like friend, like the one who actually like ended his life or is meant to have ended his life. And I was really gutted about that because I was really hoping he would turn up again. And I'm trying to think what his name is, and it's completely eluding me. Um, Where's my Vampire Lestat book?
Who?
I need to know his name. Um,
Talbot?
is it Nicky?
David Talbot, do you mean?
No, I think it's Nicky.
Oh, uh,
Is it Nicky? Sounds right. The
I
one
don't
who
have my
was
book handy now. Yeah, I know what.
with um basically when he was human and he turned him over into a vampire. and he was like his best friend slash lover. I think his name's Nicky. I think. Um, I'm just trying to see if I can see his name in this book, so I can be like, it is Nicky. I'm about 90% sure it's Nicky. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Um,
I think it is. I think you're right.
I I was really gutted we never got more of him. I was really hoping when we got to like the bit about the theatre of vampires we'd get a bit more of his character, and we didn't. And I just was crushed that we never got more of him because I really want to know his side of things regarding what happened in the theatre and with his friend because I feel like it was just left so kind of empty. And I just
Yeah.
that made it not a 5 stars for me.
I
If they
didn't give
added
it
Nicky
five.
in,
Yeah, it couldn't be a 5 stars because I was not expecting that at all. So it was all on my expectations of Armand because Armand to me was the psychopath, the real cruel vampire who's a psychopath and doesn't care about anyone. And yes, from the beginning he likes blood, and even before he's a vampire, he's a little bit sadistic and stuff. But and there's that's something I really liked from the book, but I was not expecting it again. And is that I think this book is an allegory of the Romantic movement in history, like Goethe with the Sturm und Drang, the German Tempest, and every writing from Goethe and Beethoven's friend. What's his name? He was a really important poet in the Romantic movement. He was German too.
I don't know poet.
Schiller. Schiller. I mean, I've read all those books and those authors, and I know a lot about the Sturm und Drang because I love Beethoven, and that's how I got to learn about it. And I think this is a full allegory of the Sturm und Drang, the German. Uh, I would say the German expressionism in fine arts and the whole movement because there's a lot of drama. Sturm und Drang, the romanticism, is characterized by drama, especially in love. Like if you don't love me, I kill myself, or if you leave me, I'm going to be with as many people as possible. You know, all these drama and huge um, disproportion, lack of proportion of the response from what actually happened. So what I do is too big for a small thing that happened to me, and it all is focused on feelings, and all feelings are dramatic and deep, and destroy me or give me life. That is what it is about. So I read this book, and from beginning to end, I was feeling that romanticism.
I I really like the romanticization that was in this book, and I really love the
That's
fact
what I
that
love.
Jesus was loving stuff. I I also really like the fact that it did hit actually on like the slave trade. Like I feel like it was really good that it did actually kind of touch on that and how people were kind of being sold to brothels and things. And I kind of wasn't expecting it to kind of go deep into that, and it didn't go too deep. But I do actually like the fact it was mentioned because I feel like if it wasn't mentioned with Armand, I would have felt really wrong because
Yeah.
especially the 1800s when slave trade was actually like really like popular, um, it just wouldn't have felt right if we were in the 1800s and had nothing about slavery. So I was actually really happy it touched on that, and I like the fact it wasn't just okay, let's go to a plantation because we have Louis and we have him being a plantation owner. We've got that side of the slave trade already there. So it was kind of nice seeing a different side of it, not just the terms of go work on a farm or plant or cotton or whatever it is, or like households, whatever. But here's like the more gruesome child sex slave, like
And I
child.
also loved how she introduces the history of Russia and anything like the history of the Slavic people and how they're invaded by the Tatars And I mean, I love that the way she does it. She doesn't stop to talk about the history itself, but he's putting it in the story like in drops, like a
Yeah.
little bit here, little bit there, but it's never a heavy historical tale, if it makes sense. Loved how she did it here. Like she's learning how to introduce history without making it a break of a book, if it makes
I think it's just because it's happening. Like this is what's happening currently. It's not here is a huge history lesson. It's like this is what's happening. This is what you can get about it. You can see that's happening, but we're not going to delve on it. We're just going to say it's happening and then go back to where we are. And so, yeah, I'm very much the same. I like the fact it's not very much a history lesson. So if it was starting to be very much a history lesson, I'd be very bored. And I'd just be like, please just get this over with.
I would have
But I
liked it,
do.
but I would have to read it like really slowly.
You would probably be able to see me just in my own head, just like, please, could we speed this up a bit? Please.
Give me the details later. Later. Not so many.
Just be like, Anna, can I get the quick notes version? What's the quick notes of the history lesson? I couldn't read the 45 pages worth of it.
But wait, what is next book? Because
Let's try and look at that. I think it's Merrick.
I
I
am
think.
going to check if my library has it. But honestly, I'd rather read these books physically.
No.
Like I've realized when I read them physically, I enjoy them a lot more than when I read them on ebook. I don't think these are books to read on ebook.
Yeah, so the next one is Merrick.
I love those editions. Oh, they're so gorgeous. Okay, Merrick. Let me see if my library has it. I'm just. Is it
I
Merrick
can't see.
CK or Merrick K only? CK. Cheers.
Um, by the looks of the back of this one, it is going to be tackling depression, which is going to be interesting. And Claudia is going to be in it.
Ooh, so she's back.
Back.
No, my
So
library
that was
doesn't have it, so I have to buy the book. So I'm in a financial situation right now. So what I'm going to do is get the book next week that I have a little bit of money, and yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get it here. Probably in December.
fantastic. What did you think of the of what's it, Benjamin and Piano Lady? I don't know her name. She's just a piano lady to me. What is her name? As you can tell, I don't really know people's names in books. I know Benji, Sybil, that's it. Do you want to know why I think I remembered Benji was because my old dog was called Benji? So I think that one stuck with me. But Sybil was just never going to stay in my head. So what did
Yeah.
you think of Benji and Sybil?
Hmm. Um. Hmm.
That good, huh?
Hmm.
I'm going to guess that Anna doesn't like Benji and Sybil.
Yeah. More or less, that's the summary. Hmm. Can we talk about another thing?
Oh, that bad. So what? Okay.
Not
We
that bad. A
need to
little bit
touch on them.
indifferent, also.
I think we need to touch on them, especially as the fact they did become vampires. They are going to be more prominent in the series going forward. So, and they are in the beginning and the end. We do need to touch on them, Anna. I know you don't like them, but why don't you like them?
Um. You know these people who seem to be a certain way, but when you get to know them, they're a completely different thing, and you realize that things that were not nice at all.
Yeah.
a little bit forward on the way. Like you see betrayals and you see like they do things that you're like, whoa, wait. Yeah, that's how I see him.
I I'm in the middle. I like Benji, but I don't like Sybil. I think Sybil is too quiet, and I feel like she tries to play the fact that she's like really down and lowly, but in reality she's not. And I don't trust her in the slightest. I do not like Sybil. I do like Benji. I think Benji was just doing his job, and he just seems to be trying to please people. I think
Yeah,
Benji's very like a nice guy. I think he should have been wait. I think he should have waited before he became a vampire. And I hate the fact that Marius decided to turn him so fast, especially when Armand didn't want that. So I feel sorry for Benji. I feel like Benji would have been a really good vampire if he just had more life experience first. I don't think Sybil should have been changed. I don't trust her in the slightest.
yeah,
So I'm
but
kind of
even
in
though
the
if Benji you say he was doing his job, I feel like he's not doing enough. Like he should could do a lot more than what he does. He's a little bit too passive on my
I think he's
how
only
I
meant to
see
be
it.
really young. I think he's only meant to be really young though. I think he's meant to be younger than Armand was. I think he's only meant to be like 14 or 15.
Yes, but you can also be 14 or 15 and have balls.
I mean, he did go get a meal for not for Lestat, for for Armand. I feel like
Yeah.
I really like him. I just really don't like Sybil. So it'll be interesting
Yes.
seeing how they go forward. I think Benji might end up, even though they're going to be with Armand, I think Benji seems like he's going to be far more wanting to go maybe with, um, oh my god, why is every single name going blank in my head today? The one who
What's
has all the
happening with
books.
names? Who?
No. The one who's like part of the Talamasca or whatever, but she's like always with the book. Their their name. The one who was like a seer sort of person. She was like always in the history books, always wanting to make sure things were accurate and writing everything down.
I think we didn't pay enough attention to her name for a reason.
Well, there's
We.
two of them.
I'm including
There's two of
myself.
them though.
Let me wait.
One of them was
Sybil.
one of the dams. Was like the one that couldn't see, or was it that she couldn't hear? No, she couldn't see because she was using everyone else's eyes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking. The sisters.
Yeah.
Um,
So one of them keeps all the history and keeps all the books and everything. And I think Benji,
something.
Marie, Marie, Marie.
Not no. We had a discussion about her name, remember?
Yeah. I'm just trying
That
to
I
think
was
of it.
right on how to pronounce it, but we had a discussion about how to pronounce her name.
That one. That one. That person. The one with all the
Wait,
books. I
wait,
think
wait.
Benji will want to go with her because he seems to like reading and things. And I think he'll be more interested in that side of things. Whereas
She's in
Sybil, I
Queen of
think
the Damned. Wait, wait. I'm looking for it because now I have to know.
Sybil might try and go more to Lestat and more his like fanciful.
Maret, something like that. Maharet,
Oh,
Maharet. Yes.
that's it. Yeah, I think Sybil's going to go very much towards Lestat. I feel like Lestat's got all that fancy vein, all that musicalness, and all that sort of way. And I think Sybil is going to try and attach herself to Lestat, especially as Lestat woke up, like from his like coma, sleep,
Yeah,
whatever it's
yeah.
meant to be. And the first thing he wanted was her to play the music. I think she's going to stick to Lestat like glue.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's going to really anger Armand if like the people he really loves starts to leave him already.
I know Armand gets to the end of the series. That I know. And by the end
Spoilers!
of the series, by the end of the series, he's around 500 years old. I don't know if he's
Okay.
alive or not. I know he's run 500.
Spoilers. I didn't. I
So,
don't know. I don't know he was going to survive or not. To be fair, I'm not really sure which way this kind of thing is going.
but you don't know if something like what happened to Lestat is going to happen to him. Like they burn him or Marius, It's like they burn him and then he leaves, or they do something to him and then he comes back to life somehow. Like we don't know.
I I felt I didn't like Marius as much in this one. I really liked Marius
Exactly.
in the previous ones.
Yeah,
This one,
yeah,
I don't
same.
like him. I didn't like him. And I think maybe he needed all that experience still that he got with Armand and things, but I just did not like him. And
I
I
think he
feel like,
manipulates the boys through emotions. So I think he's a manipulator, like a narcissistic. He manipulates them so they're happy with him and they never leave him and they're grateful to him. And the reader is even grateful to him for saving the boys. But all he wants is a harem.
I also feel like it was kind of irresponsible of him to then just leave Armand. Like he was still alive and he decided to leave Armand. And Armand decided he needed more structure, so he went over and ended up being part of a cult. And then he became the leader of the cult. Like, I just feel like he left him so alone that he didn't know what he was doing. And so Armand got all these bad experiences where he didn't know what he was. He didn't know what was good and what was bad because he went from being, okay, so look after your household and things, all family. And then he basically went to everyone should be dead. If they don't answer to you, they should be dead.
Mhm.
And I was like, very drastic
Mhm.
change.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't like Maris in this one either, because of the sexual thing. I had an issue with that from the beginning.
That's fair.
I didn't like Marius because I felt he was a real manipulator, like a narcissistic manipulator. Mm, I don't know. There were many things. I saw Marius as intelligent as I saw him before. Actually, even more if you want, but in a bad way. Not always good, and not. I felt he was. "Oh, I'm the victim of everyone, and I want to be nice, and I'm the nicest guy. What are you? Why doesn't everyone treat me well?" That attitude. It was cringy for me.
Do you know what I actually broke my heart reading Armand? Was the boy who was basically like second in charge, son who was like
Mm.
very very close with Armand, like his best friend, and
Ricardo.
yeah, Pardo, and then we don't see him at the bonfire when the children are being burnt alive, and then they starve Armand and then feed him Ricardo, and he doesn't realize till so much later because he basically just made him so much beefier and things, and basically
Mm.
made him like a pig, like fed him, and then just let Armand feed. That broke my heart when we found out it was Ricardo that he was
Hmm.
made to eat. I was like, no, 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 not Ricardo. Like I loved his character. He was so
Yeah,
sweet, and I was just like,
yeah, me
no,
too. He
please
was like
not.
the protector. He was really, really sweet with everyone. He was taking care of everybody. He was like in charge of all the boys, and he treating all the boys so nicely. Yeah, yeah, that was
That
bad.
that broke me. I didn't cry because I don't cry at books. The day I cry at a book is going to be an odd day. But well, I mean, there's certain books that can make me cry, but it's extremely, extremely rare. But that tore my heart in like half. I was just there like, I just need a minute. I just need a minute because I was not okay with that. And I think it's because we get so used to Ricardo's character from like the very beginning. So we get to completely fall in love with his character and really, really like him. And I was really hoping he was going to be turned. Like I know that
Mm.
like he wouldn't have been, but I still hoped. I hoped the best for him. Even if he didn't get turned, that he'd have a really good life. And he didn't get that either. I was like, no, no.
I um I was thinking that's also part of the it's like Victorian Gothic, but it's taking me back and back to romanticism. Victorian times is 19th century, right? Or
I think
18th, 19th?
I think it's early 19. I think,
And
or
that's
late
when
18.
romanticism happens. 18th, 19th. So I think it's a fusion between romanticism, and romanticism also goes back to Renaissance times. And this is all about Renaissance times. And I loved how Lorenzo de Medici was mentioned here. He was the one, the reason why Italy existed and why art was what it was in Renaissance, why Renaissance exists, and why artist managers exist. He was the first one. And I love how they mention Savonarola. Savonarola was an Italian monk um, who destroyed many works of art. So what she describes about Botticelli's pieces and stuff, that was real. He forced artists to burn their work in public burnings. I mean, it was disgusting. He was representative of the church. He was a monk, and he was the one that destroyed or tried to destroy Renaissance um, art. And Botticelli was especially famous because he was forced to burn many works, including, and he was brilliant enough not to do it. He made a copy of uh, The Birth of Spring, it's called, with the Venus and he has cherubs. Let me find their piece of art. So to add it here, The Birth of Spring, Botticelli.
Since I'm trying to think if I know that, but I actually don't think I do.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Uh, Sandro Botticelli, Birth, the Spring.
Do you,
Uh, I'm trying to find the website where it says it in Primavera. That's the name in
well,
Italian. Let me send you the link so you can see if you can open the image, like to close up on the image because that work of art is incredible.
I
It's
don't think
here
I'll
in
be
the
able to.
chat.
I don't think I'll be able to kind of open it just now. To be honest, I'll need to check afterwards. I think because I think my because I like record it on my phone. I don't think it's going to let me at the same time. Um, what did you think about the fact that Armand decided to go home as soon as he was kind?
To Kiev or to go
Yes,
home to okay.
to
Because
Kiev. Like,
he calls Venice home at some point, and he decides to go back to Venice, saying, "Let's go back home," to Marius.
yeah,
Um, to Kiev,
yeah. So when he goes and sees his father, his mother,
I
a
think,
100 billion.
yeah, and gives him the rings and stuff. I think he showed too much humanity in that he was not that much of a human. It was to me, it was weird. I liked it, but it was weird to see Armand feeling so deeply for his family when he's already a vampire, a full vampire. It's weird. Like I saw him a lot more like Lestat.
Yeah, but Lestat goes back and is with his father for a while,
That's
and
what
he
I
hated
mean.
his father.
Yeah,
So I
but I think Armand is more intelligent, of course, because Armand has an incredible ability. That's something where I like him a lot more. An incredible ability to learn from his mistakes, and that's how he gets to 500 years old. Um, but then Lestat doesn't have that. He cannot learn. He doesn't. He just doesn't want to. I cannot take that.
I think he's really sweet. I think it kind of showed the fact that he actually wished that he never. Well, obviously he wished he never got stolen. That's an obvious. But it was kind of nice for him to be like, you know what, I can actually go back. I can let them know I'm actually okay. And the fact that he does actually go to his father, who is properly grieving and is completely making a mess of his own life. He's become, instead of this great warrior which he was, down to basically the lowly drunk of the place. I thought it was really good to kind of see Armand be like, no, we need you to get out of this. Like, you need to be that person again. Like, yes, bad things happen. I am still here though. I'm still with you. Even if I'm not exactly here, I'm still with you and you need to
It was
carry
cute.
on.
It was really
And I
cute.
think that kind of perception of grief, because we get a lot of different things in here, but we haven't really, I feel like we haven't really tackled grief. We've tackled parts of it, but this felt more raw. And I really liked that. And I really loved the mother giving him the little egg from like his childhood and things,
The
right
red
to his
egg,
grave.
yeah.
I thought that was so sweet. And I just
Yeah,
thought
it
it was
was
just
really, really sweet. But I think that should have been a permanent reminder to Armand of his humanity and of his family, and that didn't end up happening though. I mean, Armand turned into a ruthless psychopath
pretty much.
because that's what I like about him.
But I think as well though, so yeah, he completely loses his way, don't get me wrong. So I feel like he has his humanity and we see that humanity side of him. And then he loses it all, becomes like a massive psycho. And then now that he's seen the veil and he is back to kind of wondering what it looks like, because he announces that he is actually an atheist. He doesn't believe in God or anything like that. He just isn't really sure kind of what that means for him. So it was kind of nice seeing that that's bringing back his humanity side, and it's kind of like this giant like arc. So it's like he's went from being human to becoming psycho to then he's realizing who he is and back to his humanity again. And it was kind of a nice overall kind of beginning to end. Here's how he kind of got back to himself, got back to the Armand he really should have been.
That's a good way of saying it. But I don't know. I don't believe somebody who's a ruthless psychopath. Actually, I don't believe I know they cannot go back. Once someone is a ruthless psychopath, there's no way back.
I,
So,
I think it's going to be interesting seeing how he kind of
yeah,
goes on from here. Now that he seems like a changed vampire, I feel like he needed that sort of belief in him again. I feel like when he saw his parents and things, he had so much hope, and then everything kind of fell apart. His house was gone. He lost all of his friends, his master, and everything. He just kind of went really down and low, and then he's kind of like building himself back up from that very, very dark place. And
I
it was kind
miss
of
your dog by the window. I miss that. I love that he's there now. I love like he's
he's literally the window dog at this point. It's like that is his windowsill. Like he will literally move me out the way at night just to get on my windowsill. He'd be like, move, move, move. I need the windowsill. Literally his place. I
he's a kid.
I do think that it was kind of good though the fact that we did see what seeing the veil meant to him, and I kind of like the fact that we did see Marius be like, what did that mean to you? Because he obviously doesn't know. Obviously, they're going to see different things when they see that veil. So it's kind of nice seeing that. But I was kind of confused a little bit with Lestat. So we had Lestat, which is fine, and he did a coma, which is fine. And then Armand tries to take his blood so he can actually see what Lestat saw, for obvious reasons. And then he gets blasted back by energy, but it wasn't from Lestat. So I'm now wondering, like, what was in Lestat? Like, why is he now being able to like expel excess things that are around him like so easily? And I'm kind of like, what's kind of going on here? What's happening?
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing.
I
That
hope I
that regard.
explained everything.
You know what? I also see David. as having gotten a bit of the original owner of the body where he's at, his new body. He's the body of the killer.
Yeah.
And I think David, as there's like a main trait each of them gets when they turn into a vampire.
Yeah.
I think David's trait is arrogance. He was not arrogant at all before, and now he's all flirty and all like, am I not beautiful without saying it? If it makes sense, he's all the time. I perceive him as having this attitude that I'm irresistible. Am I not?
I feel like you're going to like the next book. So I opened to the first page, literally just the first page, so not a spoiler. And the first line is, "My name is David Talbot."
Oh,
I think you're going to
I
like
need
that.
that book now.
I literally just opened it to the first page. That's the first line, and I'm like, that would totally get Anna. Like,
Yeah, you were right. Because David has the brain of a scholar and he's still brilliant. And he's actually the one asking Armand to write the book. Like, I'll do it for you. Tell me your story. I I want to do it. Like, I need your story. I'm interested in you. He's like, hi.
I feel like David is really into Armand. I feel like
Yeah.
those two are going
Yeah.
to get on at some point, like in their little
Yeah.
vampire love.
Maybe
But
Merrick something happens.
I can't remember. Do we know who Merrick is? Is Merrick
Mm-mm.
someone who's been mentioned in the past?
No.
Oh no, they're a witch. They're a witch. So it'll be part of.
Oh.
So I'll be part of the
Nicer.
other.
Witches.
I think I'll be part of like the Mayfair witches, but we've not read the Mayfair witches books. But I'll probably include her, so we'll get more of understanding from that side of things. So I think it's going to tie in from the other series she's done, but that's fine. But do you want me to read the back so we can see what like this one's about? I think it's going to be about depression because I see the word depression written on the back.
If there's no spoilers, then you can.
Okay, Louis is a vampire tortured by guilt. His status as a killer has left him conflicted for much of his immortal life. But after the murder of Claudia, his beloved child vampire, he spirals into a state of depression. And in a moment of desperation, he decides to bring her back with the help of a beautiful witch, Merrick. To save Louis' sanity, Merrick must use black magic to call up the ghost of Claudia, however dangerous this may be. But in the dark unknown of the underworld, there are other spirits who will not lie still, and her search takes her close to the edge of peril.
And it starts, my name is David Talbot. I'm intrigued. How many pages is that one for you?
This one for me is quite big text. So, but this one is coming in for me at 480 pages.
Fair.
Not too bad.
This one for me was 457.
Oh, my edition was a lot shorter. My edition for Armand was only 300 and something. 388 pages. Mine was
Yeah, sure.
considerably shorter, but my text in this is ridiculously small.
Yeah, all stuck. That's the thing with the mass markets. Mass markets have the text stuck to, like the lines to like compressed, and that's the thing for me.
Oh,
They're compressed, like lines are just crammed into each other, and that was a thing for me.
I think this is a first edition.
I want that, and again, I insist. He has the face of a cherub. So Banderas should have never, ever been chosen to play Armand.
Apparently, the show is out now of the Vampire Chronicles.
You know who
I think
was the perfect Armand at that time? Leonardo
yeah,
DiCaprio.
I couldn't see that. I couldn't see it in my head. My head does not. Couldn't picture it. He might, if he was that, he could probably have played it really well, but I still can't picture it in my head.
But in that time, the year, like what year was the film Interview with the Vampire? 1994. Leonardo DiCaprio,
So I'm thinking of him and he's still about
1994.
younger. I still can't picture him as Armand though.
Let me send you a
That's
picture.
a bit. But yeah, there was a lot of sex in here. I was not expecting smut. That was not why I was expecting going into this one. I feel like they've all been quite
Look at
different
that
from each other.
face.
But I couldn't picture it. Maybe if he had all the makeup and the hair and everything done, maybe. But just like thinking of Leonardo DiCaprio, I couldn't picture it in my own head.
Like, look at that. Perfect
I still
face, the hair, the eyes. I don't know. I think he would have been a perfect Armand. And he has this cheeky expression.
I mean, he is a really good actor. He probably could have played it off really well. I just can't picture it in my head. But I know what you mean. He does have that kind of like more innocent look to him, but he can be very more mischievous and things. So I can see how you would think that. Just my brain is just very much like now.
And Bandera's face is full of hair. It's like, no, that's not Armand. He's a carrot. His skin should look white and shiny and soft and Bandera's no. No, he's not Armand. He destroyed the character.
I like him as Armand though. Like I love that movie. That movie is one of my favorite movies. So I can't fault it.
Mm.
But I yeah, I really like this one. I really liked it. I really love the
Yeah, the
smut.
book is really nice. And again,
Like I
I go back to
should revisit
romanticism. He's
it.
mentioning Beethoven, the Appassionata, the Dies Irae, which is Dies Irae is a section of Requiem, that is the mass for dead people. It's all Gothic and romantic, romantic in the pure sense of the word, like 19th century, 18th century romantic. I no, I think it was spotless on that.
I just love the smut. I'm gonna think of this book. All I can think of is smut. Like I'm not gonna lie, smut is the first thing that comes to my head when I think of this book, and I loved it. I was very happy with that. I was just like, yes, smut. This was not what I knew I
I
needed.
remember, no, Armand was younger when he was taking because he's in his first experiences with with Marius. He's describing how he it was too early for his member to wake up. I mean, he was just having other feelings, but that it was too early for him to get hard or anything. And
Okay,
when they were 17, they were married. At that time, people were marrying at that age. So, yeah, he was a lot younger.
okay. I still, I still love the smut. Like, I'm sorry. I know that you're like no, and I'm just like yes, 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 yes.
But I'm like, no, he's a child. Like, before he turns into a vampire. That's what I mean. Like, once he's a vampire, he's ageless.
I think it's because it's from his perspective and how he was really into it. If it was from
Yeah.
Marius' perspective, I probably would have felt really creeped out. But because we're seeing Armand say how much he actually loves it, he loves being at the brothels, he loves
Yeah.
like seducing people, and he loves having that power over people. He wrote it in such a way that made it really good to read and really smutty, but in a good way. Whereas I feel like if it was from Marius, it would have just come across really, really creepy. So I know that's very double sided of the same coin, but like I think it's just the way it was kind of written and knowing that he was really into it and this is what he wanted to do. It wasn't like Marius was always forcing himself or anything. Like he wanted to go to the brothels. He wanted to do it with all these other people and things. He'd go out for it. So he was into it. It wasn't just everything was forced on him or anything. It was showing how much pleasure he had from those human experiences.
Hmm.
I read.
No.
These
So
favorite
I
one.
think this was in general a book we both enjoyed. So we are happy we continue with the series.
These two are my favourites so far. Out of the six, so we're about halfway now. These two are my favourite.
I still like Louis a lot, and so I like. I think the first one and this one, and I really like the previous one, like the Tale of the Body Thief.
Well, I know in Merrick we're definitely going to get far more Louis, so that should keep you happy. I'm probably going to not like this one. I don't like
Why
Louis.
not?
He's so whiny.
Who's whiny?
Louis, all he does is whine and whine and whine, and I'm so depressed and whine. I'm like,
Yeah, but I think Louis changed quite a lot. He
yeah, I
became
mean, maybe I'll like him more in this one. He's grown up since the time when he was on the
yeah,
plantation.
and he's more like I don't give a shit, you know.
So maybe this one will be good, but it does say that he's in a state of depression. And if this is him in depression and the other one wasn't, this book's gonna drag for me, and I know it. So
Maybe I stopped liking Louis over there, but I do understand somebody with depression, you know. So I don't know.
I think it's gonna be definitely how it's written because I'm not the biggest fan of Louis. Like Louis is just too whiny for me. He seems very depressed, and if that wasn't him depressed and this is him depressed, oh geez, I'm gonna have a time. But hopefully it'll be good. It'll be interesting seeing Claudia again. I think that'll be good, and we get a new character, which is a witch. So hopefully that'll kind of bring
I
things
love
together a
that.
bit. So, yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say about it. Can
No,
you?
I think we've all said. Um, I had no more issues, so I think we've said what we had to say. Uh, and I think Mary's going to be really interesting because witches come in the way, and I love witches.
I think it's kind of a nice way to start the new year as well. We're starting the new year with it also adding some witches into it. So it feels like even though we're continuing it, it's been a very long year, but it's actually been really good in terms of reading these. I think it's going to be good that we're getting a different kind of dynamic into the story at this point, especially with it being such a long series.
Yeah.
And then the next one is absolutely massive. So my edition for Blood and Gold, which is the one afterwards, is 746 pages.
How many?
746. We have that to look forward to, and it's decent sized font. So
We're going to have to spend a month reading it.
it's gonna be a big one.
Oh yeah.
But that is
Oh.
next year's problem. That that is not this year's problem. That is next year's problem. For now, still enjoying the under 500 page read.
Well, I really hope we enjoy those two a lot because if we don't enjoy the 700 and thingy pages, we're going to have an issue here and end these lives.
From the look at this one's going to be more Marius. Blood and Gold looks like it's from Marius, just from the
I
back.
like Mariette.
Um, So maybe it'll be good. We will need to see when we get to there. But
Mm, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So I hope people who have connected or who were watching this live have had fun. And if you have anything to say about these books, let us know in the comments. Next live in January is going to be on Ashleigh's channel. And it's going to be about Merrick, book number 7. And that would be halfway through. That would be halfway through.
over halfway through. We're kind of like in the middle sort of section
In the
because
middle
there's
of the
things.
book, yeah.
So we're like kind of bang on the middle ish. Halfway through this book and we'll be halfway.
Yeah. And I'm getting a dog in a few minutes. So, yeah. I hope Sirius is also happy with that. Who knows? I hope to see you in January and hope you get up to date with the series. If you read them again, comment down below. Get to check these lovely lady and hope to see you soon then.
Bye.